So Clove has made an interesting scenario in the game where people are forgetting about every other controller and just going for Clove. When they were announced, I had the take that Clove would introduce new players to the controller role, specifically the duelist who wanted an option that was still aggressive but not a duelist. Clove being added to Valorant has done irreparable damage to the quality of ranked games. It's every single elo too. I watch high radiant games and these people refuse to play Viper on Icebox or even Harbor. We can't even pick something semi-useful on that map. We have to play Clove. Clove is a great agent for ranked, but they are by far the most useless smokes on average. I agree with this tweet. People are choosing Clove more freely and that's kind of been costing games. Except I'm wrong. Not only is Clove the most picked controller, with Omen coming in second, a whole 2% below, but Clove has the best win percentage as we speak. But technically that's looking across all of the ranks. Surely if we look at the individual ranks, Clove isn't the best in each one, right? Across the board, nobody, and I mean nobody, makes a dent when it comes to the absolute dominance Clove has over the other controllers. And shout out my fellow Radiant, because they were the only rank that didn't have Clove at the top of win percentage. So what does this mean, Mexx? I hear you asking. Should I lock in Clove to guarantee a win? If we go off stats, I guess, but I'm actually quite surprised by what the numbers are seeing. When I first saw this tweet, I agreed instinctually. I don't play as much Valorant as I used to, but I've played and watched enough recently to know that Clove has been in pretty much all of my games. And since Clove came out, I have been a huge fan of this agent. It wasn't until recently that I decided to do a side quest, play ISO for like 20 games, that I had been using another agent. But for a good bit of June and the beginning of July, I was strictly using Clove and Skye. And let me just say, I wasn't contributing to that win percentage in a positive manner. Did I expect Clove to be at the bottom of the win percentage chart? No, but I didn't expect them by any means to be at the top. With them being the newest agent, I figured the players trying out smokes for the first time would negatively contribute to that number. This graph does make the disclaimer that the data is from the 2 most recent weeks, so we are far removed from Clove's release. But again, does this mean everyone playing Clove is godlike and that's why they have the highest win percentage? No. If we look at KD, Clove actually tends to be pretty much even when looking at their average across all ranks. Astra, Viper, and Omen, all on average, have higher KDs than Clove typically does. I think this point does support that when it comes to the controller role, the other agents having a more dedicated kit to that role are contributing to their team more. But on the opposite end, I don't think Clove players are getting carried to victory. If this was the case, the win percentage for them would be significantly lower, as depending entirely on your team to win a match is not really a consistent strategy. So what are we missing? You would think, well, some smokes are better than no smokes, right? Maybe that's why Clove has such a high win percentage. Maybe people wouldn't be locking in smokes, but because Clove is an option, now they are locking in smokes. And referring back to the original tweet, they do make the point. Clove is a great agent for ranked. And by itself, that is a true statement. I think Clove is a great addition to the Valorant roster. They are a phenomenal pick when it comes to ranked because you can try to do multiple different roles with just one agent. But again, when it comes to trying to do a lot of things at once, you start to dilute the impact that you have for each independent role. So I think the initial complaint of we need other controllers, we need other smokes on certain maps, like Viper on Icebox. I think nobody will sit here and argue that Icebox isn't the one map where you want to choose Viper. Viper plays such an important role when it comes to Icebox, and if you're a controller player, almost 9 out of 10 times you are locking in Viper for Icebox. Of course, these are dedicated controller players. These are players that feel very comfortable within that role. But then you have your duelist, because essentially that really is what a lot of the player base that is currently playing Clove is made up of. And if you've been playing Valorant for a long time, I know you can think back and remember, Oh yeah, we did have that brief 3 duelist meta, where so many people wanted to play duelists that we were okay allowing 3 duelists on a map. And it still occasionally happens, but it's definitely by no means the norm. Except, oftentimes in a team composition, Clove is acting as another duelist. Yes, they do have some smokes, and they are technically a controller, but it's a very aggressive controller, and the primary role of Clove isn't typically to be a controller. The players that are locking in Clove aren't doing so because they're like, oh, I really enjoy Clove's smokes. They're doing it because, oh, I appreciate their ultimate. I appreciate the heal that I can use off. Oh, and I guess I can also do smokes. The issue, I think, falls down to on the type of players that are playing Clove. It's not the controller players that are choosing to play Clove, it's the duelist. But again, why? If it's not a duelist going, I suddenly want to play smokes, what are we missing that people are selecting Clove at a much higher rate, especially not only in comparison to their other controller partners, but in general across the board? Clove is seeing more play than Jett. I want you to think back to the last time that Jett wasn't the most picked agent. I mean, it is kind of a win. Let's acknowledge that. It is kind of a win that Jett is not the most picked agent in Valorant for the first time in a very long time. But we have to understand, why is it that Clove took over that place? Okay, I have to clarify. I was cooking too hard. I flew too close to the sun. But these are the top 4 agents. Why is Clove in the top 4? I don't think Clove should be in the top 4 is more so what I meant to say. Honestly, it's the placebo effect. Clove is one of few agents that grants players an additional benefit. One that is not in any of the descriptions or additional details that are provided to us by Riot. And that's simply confidence. I enjoy playing Clove because I feel like I can contribute to my team regardless of how aggressive I may be during a match. As someone that has played Smoke since the game came out, I know just how much I am costing my team. If I'm the first person to die and we haven't even entered a site, I'm costing my team. So when one of Clove's abilities allows you to still have access to smokes after you've died, that pressure that somebody feels of maybe dying too early goes away pretty quickly. Suddenly I'm challenging more than I should because I'm confident I can still help my team after I've died. Now, this isn't me saying that most players think about this, because let's be honest, how often do you see your Clove putting down smokes after they've died? I think this is why I was so quick to agree with the original tweet that inspired this video. I can think back to my last few games where I had a Clove on my team and think of rounds where I didn't get any smokes, or the smokes that I did get after they died were just awful. But returning to the confidence it gives players, Valorant is very much a game where your mentality going into and during a match will affect you. Coming off a 2-game win streak, nobody get in my way. I'm not missing a shot. Just got shit on by that Reyna for the 5th time in a row. This game might be chalked. Locking in Clove for a lot of people is viewed as a less risky choice than other agents. And honestly, this is my primary theory for why they have such a high pick rate. Returning back to the tweet, because Irene wasn't saying that Clove wasn't winning matches, but rather that people are only choosing Clove when it specifically comes to the controllers. And as we can tell by looking at the graphs, that does actually tend to be the case. Clove is by far the most picked controller. I still agree with Irene's initial point, and we need to see more of a variety when it comes to controllers. Now, is it because the other controllers don't have a good enough kit that they're not being chosen? No, by any means I actually don't believe this at all, and I'm pretty sure the numbers don't agree with them either. As we've seen, yes, Clove does have the highest win percentage, but there are still other agents that do get picked more often than Clove in certain ranks. Now, they don't have the win percentage that Clove has, and of course this doesn't mean that, oh, because I picked Omen and not Clove, the likelihood of me winning a match goes down. It just means that because Omen has less people picking them than Clove currently does, a loss for Omen is more significant than a loss for Clove, because there are more people playing Clove than there are Omen. That's one of the reasons for why I think Omen, Viper, and even Brim's win percentage is down more. It's because less people are playing these agents, so a loss for them contributes more than a loss would for Clove. It's why I think we have such a mixture of really good Clove players and really bad Clove players, and the win percentage is still too high. The next time you're in a match and you have a Clove player on your team, while it might seem like they are costing you, they actually are probably helping you out by simply being confident on the map. A confident player shows on the map. It's not even about the stats, it's about the engagement. It's about the fact that you know that this person is pushing in a site. It's making space on the map. Is winning gunfights. Confidence in Valorant is huge. And again, if one of the placebo effects that Clove is giving is that confidence, this is a winning formula. But this isn't a get out of jail free card by any means. Clove players, I need y'all to reflect. If you're enjoying the smokes aspect, please consider playing other smokes. I promise you, the other smoke agents can be just as fun as Clove. Don't get me wrong. Again, clearly Clove is working out for a lot of people. But a hot take here maybe, I think that because of their kit, you can kind of get away without having that much game sense. Because if you push in the site and die instantly, you can still provide a smoke to your team. Now, if you were alive, there's significantly more value that's being provided. But again, like that negative cost that you would have with other agents isn't there. And with controllers, it's one of the biggest repercussions for being too aggressive. Again, if you're a controller player, I know you know that feeling of dying too early and being like, shit, now my team can't get onto the site because they don't have smokes because I died too early. Anyways, I just wanted to get this video out there. I saw the tweet. I thought it was really interesting. Again, go follow Irene. Seems like they have a lot of great takes. And honestly, I enjoyed this conversation that I saw through the thread. A lot of people seem to have their thoughts. If you want to find out what other people are thinking about it, go check the thread out. And with that said, I'll see y'all for the next video. Peace out.